A millionaire patient pretends to be in a coma, but when he hears his nurse's confession, everything changes. The room smelled like antiseptic and old money. Everything was white. White curtains, white bedsheets, white silence. In the center of it all lay a man who hadn't moved in 10 days. His name was Julian Blackwell, 33, heir to one of the oldest luxury hotel empires in the country. A man who once commanded boardrooms now lay still, a thin scar on his temple, the only mark of the crash that had nearly taken his life. Or so the world believed. What they didn't know was this: Julian Blackwell was not in a coma. He was pretending. Outside the thick glass door of his private hospital suite, muffled voices broke the quiet. "I'm telling you," came Damien's voice, Julian's cousin, slick-hamed, always overdressed, always smiling when he thought no one was watching. "This is our chance. The board's restless. If we don't step in now, we might lose everything." "Step in." The voice was colder, smoother. Catherine Blackwell, Julian's stepmother. "No, Damien, we don't step in. We take control. He's vulnerable. His assets are vulnerable. The board won't wait forever, and neither should we." Damien hesitated. "But the lawyer, Julian's estate attorney, still insists." "That attorney won't be a problem for long," Catherine interrupted. "He's loyal, yes, but isolated. We keep pushing the narrative. Julian may never wake up, and if we keep the nurse compliant, this'll be over within weeks." Inside the room, Julian's heart pounded beneath the surface of his motionless body. So it was true. He had suspected the crash wasn't an accident. A last-minute trip to the Hamptons had ended with a shredded guardrail, a flipped car, and a diagnosis of non-traumatic coma, but Julian had regained consciousness within 2 days and chosen not to speak. Not yet. He needed time. He needed to know who had betrayed him, and now, at least partly, he did. The door opened with a soft hiss. Footsteps. Slower this time. Different. Julian knew that rhythm already. Gentle, careful, measured. "Nora!" "Good morning, Mr. Blackwell." Her voice was soft but clear. No false sweetness. "It's just me." She moved around the bed with calm efficiency, checking his vitals, adjusting his blanket, brushing his hair back slightly with a practiced hand. There was no pity in her touch, only professionalism and something else. Something Julian couldn't name yet. He had watched her through the slit of barely opened eyes when she wasn't looking, the way she read aloud at night, the way she hummed to herself when she changed his IV. She treated him like a human being, not a lost cause. And she never said anything cruel. Not like Catherine. Not like Damien. "Your levels look stable today," Nora said quietly, scribbling something into the chart. "That's good." She sat beside him, sighing softly. "I don't know if you can hear me," she added, her voice lower now, almost conspiratorial. "But I think you can. Just a feeling." Julian felt heat rise in his chest. Was she about to say something? He listened carefully, heart still. "I took this job because I needed the money. That's not a crime. I didn't ask too many questions because, well, life doesn't let me. But now that I'm here, I see things, I hear things, and they don't sit right." She glanced toward the door. "Your cousin came in yesterday when you were asleep, or, well, asleep. He told someone over the phone that you weren't waking up anytime soon, and the tone in his voice, it scared me," she swallowed. "I don't know what kind of family you have, Mr. Blackwell, but I think they want you gone." Julian's fingers twitched, just a fraction. Nora didn't notice. "I should say nothing," she whispered. "I should just take my paycheck and keep quiet. But I can't. I've lost too much already. I became a nurse to help people, and whether you're listening or not, I won't be part of something that lets someone fade away just because they're inconvenient." She stood slowly. "I'm going to start keeping 2 logs," she murmured. "One for them, and one that's honest." Julian felt something stir in his chest that hadn't moved in a long time. Here's to making. Nora adjusted the IV one last time, then placed a book on the table beside him. "Tonight, I'm going to read to you. Something real. Something human." She walked out without another word. The door clicked shut. And in the stillness, Julian Blackwell blinked once, slow, controlled. He would wait. But not for long. The nights were when the silence felt loudest. After the last round of checks and the cleaning staff left, Nora would dim the lights and sit by Julian's bedside. The only sounds, the soft beep of machines and the wind brushing the high windows of the private recovery wing. It had been 2 weeks since she took the assignment. 2 weeks of watching Julian Blackwell, once a name she had only seen in magazines and headlines, lie still like a statue carved from grief. But something was off, deeply off. She noticed it first with the medications. On her second week, she checked the chart and paused. The sedative dosage hadn't changed, despite no signs of agitation, seizures, or trauma. In fact, it hadn't been reviewed at all. Then came the nutrition logs. The physician's visits were increasingly rare. Vitals were logged but never evaluated. Even the speech therapist who was supposed to visit weekly hadn't shown up once, and yet there was no urgency from anyone. No concern, just polite nods and cold reminders to stick to protocol. She had worked in enough care facilities to know the quiet signs of negligence, but this felt like something else, something intentional. That evening she brought in her own copy of The Little Prince, a book her mother used to read when nights at home felt too dark. She flipped through the pages as she spoke to Julian. "You probably hate this book," she said softly, placing it on the table. "I mean, you're a businessman, practical, hotels, contracts, numbers. But I always liked this one. It's about someone who gets lost and then finds meaning in the simplest things." She reached for his wrist, checking his pulse again. Still steady, still strong. "You know," she added, glancing at the IV bag, "I asked Dr. Langston yesterday about your sedative dose. He brushed me off, said it was per family request, no adjustment, no taper plan, just status quo." Her voice turned sharp with frustration. "I became a nurse to help people get better, not stay stuck." She stood, walked to the window and pressed a hand to the glass. "I don't know who you really are, Julian, but I'm starting to believe you're more awake than anyone wants to admit." Her fingers curled into a fist. "I'm changing your protocol. Not everything, just a little. I know how to do it without raising alarms. And if anyone asks, I'll take the heat." She turned back to him. "But I can't sit by and watch you disappear like this. I've done that before, and I can't do it again." She reached for her notebook and began writing in a second log, one she kept hidden in her locker. A real record of meds, reflex responses, vitals, and her own observations. She didn't notice that Julian's eyes moved slightly beneath their lids. At midnight, she returned with a thermos of chamomile tea and a blanket draped over her shoulders. "I should go home," she whispered, "but I can't sleep anyway." She sat beside him again, pulled out the book and opened to the first chapter. And then, after a moment of stillness, she closed it. Instead, she spoke, not to fill the air, but to empty her heart. "I wasn't supposed to be your nurse, you know," she said. "I was filling in for someone else, emergency call. The original nurse backed out last minute. I didn't ask why." Her voice cracked. "I thought it was fate. Finally, an assignment that paid enough to help me pay off school loans, get my license back. But now..." She leaned forward, elbows on her knees. "I heard Catherine say something. In the hallway. She thought I was on break. She said, we just need to keep him sedated until things are finalized." Damien nodded like it was nothing. Nora paused. Her hands trembled. "I came here to help, but now I'm afraid I was hired to help someone die." She looked up at Julian, his face still and unmoved. "I don't know if you can hear me, but I had to say it out loud. I won't do it. I won't be part of something cruel." She stood slowly, voice barely a whisper. "I don't know what's going on. But I'm with you, whether or not you ever wake up." She touched his hand lightly. "You're not alone." And then she left, the door closing gently behind her. Inside the room, a single tear slipped from the corner of Julian's eye. He wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't have to pretend for much longer. Nora said nothing to the doctors, nothing to the hospital director, nothing to the Blackwell family. But every night she spoke to Julian. She told him about her life in bits and pieces, stories from her early days as a nursing student, patients who had changed her, shifts that broke her. small kindnesses that kept her going. She talked about her father, a quiet plumber who believed that doing good didn't need an audience, it just needed consistency. Julian listened. He couldn't move much yet, couldn't speak, but he heard her. And it was more than the sound of her voice, it was the truth in it. In a world that had taught him to distrust everyone, Nora Ellis spoke like someone who hadn't yet given up on people. Every night, she arrived a little earlier, stayed a little longer. She started experimenting with small neurological stimulation tests, not anything that would raise red flags, just enough to see if his body could respond. A pinch of his palm, a light pressure on his eyelids, gentle sensory cues. One evening, as she was adjusting his blanket, she paused beside him, leaning closer. "Julian," she whispered, her voice uncertain. "If you can hear me, give me a sign. Anything." Silence. She sighed, shaking her head. "Maybe I'm just imagining things, wanting to believe in something that's not there." But then, his index finger moved. Just a twitch. Barely more than a whisper of motion. But it was real. Nora froze. Her eyes widened. Her breath caught. She leaned in closer. Did you just... There it was again. A slow, deliberate curl of his finger. Nora covered her mouth with both hands. "Oh my God!" She stood abruptly, nearly knocking over the stool behind her. For a few seconds, all she could do was stare at him, chest rising and falling fast, heart racing. Then she laughed, quiet and breathless, a stunned, joyful sound. "You can hear me?" she said, stepping back to his side. "Julian, you're in there. You've been listening this whole time, haven't you?" She blinked away tears, reaching for his hand. "Okay. Oh, we're going to do this slowly, all right? One finger for yes, nothing for no. Can you understand that?" A pause. Then another curl of his finger. Nora let out a shaky laugh. "This is insane. No one's going to believe this. But I do. I believe you." From that night on, everything changed. Their routine shifted. Now there was a new rhythm, a new language between them. One blink, one twitch, one squeeze. Yes, no, maybe. She brought flashcards, started using a basic alphabet chart. It was slow, sometimes frustrating, but Julian tried. He wanted to try. And Nora? She was patient, careful, and warm. She smiled every time he responded. She never rushed him. She never treated his limitations like burdens. The connection between them deepened. Julian learned her favorite songs, her favorite flavor of coffee, how she used to watch people come and go at the hotel her mom cleaned when she was little, imagining the kind of lives they lived. Nora, in turn, learned things about him he had never told anyone. Not with words, just with looks, reactions, questions she would ask, and the way he would twitch once for yes, stay still for no. "You never wanted this life, did you?" she asked one night, eyes scanning his chart while her fingers gently smoothed the edge of his sleeve, his finger curled. "Yes? You just wanted peace, not power." Another yes. She sat down beside him. "I think I get it. I never wanted to be a nurse just to pay the bills. I wanted to help, but somewhere along the way I started surviving instead of living." Julian moved his hand slightly, trying to reach hers. She took it without hesitation. "I won't let them do this to you," she said. "I don't care what they want. You're coming back. We're going to get you back." In that moment, for the first time in years, Julian Blackwell didn't feel like a name on a contract or a line in a will. He felt human. Because someone had chosen to believe in him, even when he couldn't speak. And now, with her help, he was ready to fight back. In the days that followed, a quiet current of urgency ran beneath every moment Nora and Julian shared. By day, Nora played the obedient nurse, logging routine notes, adjusting the IV with steady hands, nodding politely to Catherine's condescending remarks and Damien's fake concern. But at night, she and Julian became something else. Not just patient and nurse, but partners, co-conspirators, survivors. She had memorized his signals, One twitch for yes, a finger tap for no. A faint breath change when something scared him. They were getting good at this. One evening, as she massaged his left hand to stimulate muscle tone, she whispered, "I know you want to expose them, but we need proof, real proof, and we need to be careful." Julian managed a faint blink, his newest response, then twitched his finger once. Yes, Nora pulled a tiny device from her pocket, a sleek pin-sized camera she had borrowed from her friend in tech support. It wasn't hospital standard issue, but it was discreet, high resolution, and had saved more than one whistleblower in the past. "I'll place it in the medication cabinet," she said softly. "That's where Damien and Catherine always talk when they think no one's around. I've seen them whispering, giving instructions to the night staff. It's time someone else saw what they're doing." Julian's eyes flickered in agreement. That night, when she was certain no one was watching, Nora slipped into the medroom. With gloved hands and a steady heartbeat, she hid the camera inside the corner of a ceiling panel, just above the fridge where the controlled substances were stored. The motion sensor clicked to life. Now they waited. 2 nights later, the plan paid off. Nora returned to retrieve the camera early that morning before the cleaners arrived. She watched the footage in the break room, headphones in, laptop open, heart pounding. At first, just silence, then footsteps. Damien's voice, "She's getting too involved," he muttered. "That nurse, she's not stupid." "Let her ask questions," Catherine replied calmly. "As long as she doesn't start writing reports, we're fine. Besides, we'll be done soon. We give it 2 more weeks, then we file the DNR motion." Nora froze. "Julian has no living will," Damien said. "Won't that raise red flags?" "We'll claim a verbal directive. I've already spoken to the hospital board liaison. They're sympathetic. They want the mess gone." "And the lawyer?" "I'm working on it. He'll be cut out of the next meeting." Then came the words that chilled Nora's blood. "All that's left is to keep him sedated," Catherine said, "and I want that nurse out of here once the paperwork's ready. She's seen too much." Nora sat in silence, hands trembling, as the video finished. She saved the file 3 times, once to her USB, once to an encrypted cloud server, and once on her locked phone. Then, with Julian's help, she drafted